The spaceport was alive with the hum of ships docking and departing. Lights flickered across the metal floors, reflecting on the sleek hulls of spacecraft from dozens of worlds. Merchants shouted their wares, crews rushed from one gate to another, and traders bargained fiercely. Amid the chaos, a single delegation stood out. They moved with precision and quiet authority, their long robes flowing like liquid shadows. At the center of this group walked the alien princess. She was tall and graceful, with shimmering skin that seemed to change color slightly depending on the light. Her eyes were a deep violet, large and expressive, full of intelligence and an unspoken warning. Around her, her entourage moved carefully, giving her space, yet their posture was rigid, showing they were trained warriors. The humans at the port paused to stare. Rumors of this princess had reached many systems. She was known to be strong-willed, clever, and unusually stubborn, but no one expected the announcement that came moments after she entered the spaceport's main hall. "I will travel only in a human ship," she said, her voice calm but commanding. The words echoed across the hall. Merchants and port officials froze. The delegation accompanying her exchanged uneasy glances. A murmur ran through the crowd. Humans looked at each other, puzzled. Alien ships were known for their luxury and advanced systems. For a princess to insist on a human vessel was unusual, almost unheard of. The port official cleared his throat. "Your Highness, we have prepared the finest ships from the Empire for your travel. Surely one of these is suitable." "I do not care for their appearance," the princess interrupted, stepping forward. Her gaze scanned the human ships docked nearby. "I care only for efficiency, reliability, and courage in the crew. I have observed humans. They do not follow predictable patterns. They adapt. They survive. That is why I will travel only in a human ship." The humans in the crowd exchanged whispers. Some laughed quietly, thinking she was testing them. Others looked nervous. Choosing a human ship meant entrusting the princess to strangers, and strangers from a species whose power in the galaxy was often underestimated. The human ship captain, a man named Rylan, stood among the crowd, his heart racing. He was known for daring missions and clever maneuvers. He had commanded dangerous operations on the frontier, earning respect for his calm decisions under pressure. Yet standing before the alien princess was different. She was royalty, and she demanded more than ordinary skill. She demanded excellence. "Captain Rylan," the port official said, gesturing toward him, "you are to escort the princess. Her choice is final." Rylan nodded, trying to hide the sudden tension in his chest. He had faced pirates, meteor storms, and hostile alien patrols. But negotiating with a royal alien? That was new. The princess walked slowly toward Rylan's ship, her steps measured and deliberate. She examined every detail: the hull, the control panels, the navigation systems. When she touched the exterior, her fingers lingered as if testing the metal itself. "This ship is human-made," she said softly. "I like it. It has character. It is not designed for show. It is designed for survival." Her entourage looked shocked. They whispered to each other, confused by her fascination with a human vessel instead of their empire's finest ships. The princess ignored them. Her attention was fixed on Rylan. "Captain," she said, her voice steady, "I expect precision, courage, and decisions based on judgment, not tradition. Will you be responsible for my safety?" Rylan straightened. "Yes, Your Highness. I will do everything in my power to ensure your safety." A faint smile appeared on her face, almost like approval. She stepped aboard, walking through the narrow corridors of the ship as if she had done this many times before. The human crew watched silently, their curiosity growing. The princess did not speak much, but her eyes missed nothing. Rylan gave the standard safety briefing. "We will be traveling through neutral space first. Sensors are active. Navigation systems are checked. In case of any danger, follow my instructions." "Understood?" "Understood," the princess replied, her voice calm. She did not ask for comfort or luxury. She asked only for efficiency. The ship's engines roared to life, vibrating through the hull. The crew secured their positions as the vessel lifted off the port platform. Outside the windows, the sprawling city of the spaceport shrank into a web of lights. Stars awaited them. During the initial hours of travel, the princess moved through the corridors, observing the crew. She paused at the engineering bay, examining the engines. "These are human engines?" she asked. Rylan nodded. "Yes, designed for endurance and efficiency. They can handle long jumps and extreme conditions." She ran her fingers over the controls. I see. Humans trust their own judgment over rigid rules. Interesting. This is why I feel safer here than on an alien ship designed for appearances rather than function. Her words intrigued the crew. They had always taken pride in their ships, but hearing such praise from royalty was unusual. Night came in the ship's own way, through artificial lighting and the quiet hum of the engines. The princess sat quietly in the observation lounge, staring at the stars. She seemed lost in thought, but occasionally she asked questions. Small, precise questions about human culture, history, and engineering. Rylan watched her, curious. Your Highness, why humans? You could travel in the fastest ship of your empire. Why risk traveling with us? She turned her violet eyes on him. Humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans act when necessary, and do not rely solely on rules or hierarchy. My empire's ships, they do not survive when tested. Humans do. The captain nodded slowly. He understood her reasoning. Humans had a reputation for ingenuity, for taking unexpected risks and finding solutions others would not see. He respected her choice even if it was unusual. Hours passed and the princess explored more of the ship. She examined the weapon systems, the communication arrays, and even the food storage units. She did not complain but made small notes, always thinking ahead. The crew started to feel a strange mix of respect and nervousness. They were used to dangerous missions, but traveling with an alien princess was something else entirely. Every move they made, every decision they took, seemed to be watched carefully. By the end of the first day of travel, the princess had chosen her quarters and quietly established her routines. She did not sleep much, preferring to read reports, study star maps, and observe the ship's systems. Her presence was calm but commanding. Rylan finally allowed himself to relax for a moment. He walked to the observation deck, looking out at the vast emptiness of space. Stars stretched endlessly, and for the first time in a long while, he felt the weight of responsibility. He was not just protecting a passenger. He was escorting a royal alien who had chosen him and his crew for reasons that went beyond diplomacy. The princess joined him, silent at first, gazing at the distant points of light. Finally she spoke. Captain Rylan, humans have a strange strength. It is not in numbers or power. It is in courage and judgment. I will be watching closely, but I believe this journey will be interesting. Rylan smiled faintly. Your Highness, you will see that humans do not shy away from challenges. We survive, we adapt, and we always try to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The princess's lips curved into a small approving smile. It was rare, but it carried weight. As the ship continued through the stars, a quiet bond began to form between the human crew and their unusual passenger. The princess had made her choice. She would travel only in a human ship, and Rylan, for the first time, realized that this choice might change not only the journey ahead, but the galaxy itself. The engines hummed steadily, the stars stretched endlessly, and the human ship carried its royal passenger into the unknown. The human ship cut through the silent void of space. Stars stretched in all directions, distant and endless, while the ship's hum created a steady rhythm that comforted the crew. Inside, the alien princess moved quietly among the corridors, her violet eyes observing every detail. She did not speak much, but her presence was commanding. Every movement of the crew seemed to be measured under her gaze. Captain Rylan watched her carefully. He had navigated countless dangerous missions, but traveling with an alien princess was different. Her reputation preceded her, clever, stubborn, and fearless. He wondered what would happen if she disagreed with the decision he had to make in a critical moment. The first challenge came sooner than expected. The ship approached a dense asteroid field, the kind that could shred even the most durable hull if the navigation was not perfect. The stars outside flickered between rocky shadows, and the crew tensed. Captain, the princess said quietly, approaching the command deck. These asteroids are moving fast. How will you guide the ship safely? Rylan smiled faintly. We rely on sensors and quick maneuvers. Humans trust skill and judgment in situations like this. Watch. The ship's sensors beeped and whirred. Rylan's hands moved confidently over the controls. The ship wove between massive asteroids, engines flaring to adjust speed and trajectory. Shadows danced across the walls, and the crew felt the tension in every fiber of their bodies. The princess watched silently, her eyes narrowing as she observed every decision. She had expected precision, but she did not expect the calm confidence Rylan displayed. "We rely on judgment more than strict rules," he explained. "We adapt to what we see. We survive." The ship slipped through the asteroid field. The human ship cruised through the quiet void, stars stretching endlessly on every side. The crew had grown more accustomed to the alien princess, but an undercurrent of tension remained. Her presence was calm, but her violet eyes missed nothing. She watched the crew with careful attention, silently judging their skills and decisions. Captain Rylan stood at the command deck, reviewing the star charts. The route ahead passed through a lightly monitored sector of space, known for trade and occasional small-scale conflicts. It was peaceful enough on paper, but in practice, space was rarely predictable. Suddenly, the sensors beeped urgently. Multiple contacts appeared on the display, fast-moving, aggressive shapes. "Captain," Jaren shouted. "Unknown vessels approaching fast." "They're armed." Rylan's eyes narrowed. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Shields up, weapons ready. Everyone stay calm and follow orders." The alien princess stepped beside him, her presence surprisingly steady. "They are hostile," she said, her voice soft but firm. "I can feel it in their patterns. They attack without warning." Rylan nodded. "You are correct. Keep to the observation deck. Stay out of danger." She shook her head. "I will not hide. I am your responsibility, yes. But I also understand battle. Let me assist." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The princess had never shown interest in participating in combat, yet her confidence was undeniable. The attackers closed in, small ships darting like hunting predators. Rylan maneuvered the human ship, twisting through the empty space with precision. The human crew acted with practiced coordination, their experience giving them an edge over the faster but less predictable enemy ships. "Princess," Rylan called, "we need your help. They use tactics from my home system. Patterns familiar to your empire, yes?" She nodded. "Yes, they rely on predictable aggression. Humans are different. You adapt. Watch and learn." With a careful glance at the tactical map, the princess pointed out weak angles in the enemy formation. "The ships on your starboard flank are too close. Use your maneuvering thrusters to slip behind them. The smaller vessels will follow you blindly." Rylan adjusted the course, following her advice. The ship twisted and spun through the dark void, evading incoming fire while staying one step ahead of the attackers. The princess's insight into alien tactics proved invaluable. The crew fired in coordinated bursts, striking the enemy without wasting energy. The human ship was smaller and less armored than most of the attackers' vessels, but it moved with speed and precision. "You humans are remarkable," the princess said quietly. "You do not fear risk, yet you calculate carefully. This is why I trust you." Minutes felt like hours as the battle raged on. The crew worked tirelessly, but the enemy seemed relentless. One of the alien ships fired a blast that grazed the human ship's hull, sending a shudder through the entire vessel. "Status report," Rylan barked. "Minor hull damage," Jaren replied, checking the readings. "Nothing critical, but shields are down by 15%. The princess stepped closer. "You must not waste energy defending the entire perimeter. Focus fire on the lead ships. Break their formation. Once the front collapses, the others will hesitate." Rylan followed her advice, directing the crew to concentrate their fire. The human ship weaved between blasts using speed, precision, and clever tactics rather than brute force. Slowly, the enemy formation began to falter. One by one, the attackers broke off, retreating into the darkness of space. The human ship remained intact, shields flickering but still holding. The crew exhaled collectively, tension releasing in waves. The princess looked at Rylan with a faint smile. "You humans do not rely solely on strength. You rely on wit, skill, and courage. That is why I am here." Rylan nodded, feeling a mix of pride and relief. "You handled yourself well, Your Highness. Your insight saved us critical time. I'm glad you chose to help." The princess's expression softened. "I could not hide. If humans are my choice for travel, I must understand how you face danger. I must learn why you endure when others fail." The crew gradually relaxed, though the aftershocks of the encounter lingered. They had seen the princess not as a passenger, but as an ally, someone who understood strategy and courage. Later, in the observation lounge, Rylan approached her quietly. "Your Highness, may I ask something?" "Of course," she replied, her eyes still reflecting the distant stars. "Why do you distrust your empire's ships? You said earlier you prefer humans." Now I have seen your actions in battle. Why is this so important to you? The princess sighed, a soft sound filled with thought. My empire's ships. They are built for display, not survival. Protocol and tradition often outweigh judgment. Too many commanders rely on hierarchy instead of thinking independently. I cannot risk my life in such a vessel. Rylan nodded slowly. Humans act differently. We rely on experience, skill, and decision-making under pressure. That is what keeps us alive. And now you've seen it firsthand. She gave a faint nod. Yes, and it is why I will continue to travel with humans. I need a crew that adapts, that survives, and that values judgment above rules. The next hours passed quietly, but the atmosphere in the ship had changed. The princess no longer seemed distant or aloof. She interacted more with the crew, asking questions about tactics, ship systems, and human culture. Her curiosity was sharp but genuine. Rylan noticed a subtle shift. The princess was beginning to trust them, but more importantly, she was learning to value human ingenuity and courage. That was rare for her species. Many would have relied on brute power or political influence, but she chose to see strength in skill and judgment. As night, or the artificial version of it, fell aboard the ship, the princess returned to her quarters, but not before pausing at the observation deck. She gazed out at the stars, thoughtful and composed. Rylan joined her silently. Captain, she said quietly, humans survive because you understand that every decision matters. You calculate risk, but you also trust your instincts. That is remarkable. Rylan smiled faintly. We survive because we value each other. We adapt. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is how humans endure. The princess nodded, her gaze distant. I see now that choosing a human ship was not just for safety. It is a lesson in judgment, courage, and trust. Perhaps this journey will teach my empire something as well. For the first time, she allowed herself a small, approving smile. It was rare, subtle, but it carried weight. The human crew had passed her first test. They had shown skill, courage, and adaptability under pressure. Yet Rylan knew that the battle had been only a preview. Greater challenges awaited them, and the stars held secrets no map could reveal. The princess's life and the success of their mission depended on more than just engines and shields. It depended on trust, ingenuity, and courage, the very qualities that made humans so unpredictable and so remarkable. As the ship glided silently into the unknown, the bond between humans and the alien princess strengthened. The first test of courage and skill had passed, but the galaxy was vast and dangers waited in places where sensors could not always detect them. Together, they would face whatever came next, and in the process, the humans would prove that their bravery and adaptability were unmatched, even in the eyes of an alien princess. The Aurora's spear drifted quietly near the asteroid belt, its sensors watching for any sign of trouble. The crew knew that enemies could be hiding anywhere. For Captain Elias, the weight of responsibility had never felt heavier. The princess was on board and the galaxy was watching. Princess Celira had settled into life on the human ship with surprising ease. She walked the halls in flowing robes, speaking with crew members, asking questions about human technology, and sometimes even helping in small ways. Though many still felt uneasy about her presence, some of the crew had started to admire her calm confidence, but not everyone trusted the peace. Lieutenant Mara, the tactical officer, stood at her console and frowned at the readings. Captain, she said softly, there's something strange. I'm picking up faint signals trailing us. They're not strong enough to lock down, but they feel like watchers. Elias came closer, staring at the screen. Tiny fluctuations blinked across the data feed. Too random for natural space noise, too regular for coincidence. Keep monitoring, Elias said. His voice was low, steady, but a hint of tension showed in his jaw. Don't alert the crew yet. If someone is following us, we need proof before we act. That night cycle, Princess Celira visited the bridge. Her golden eyes studied Elias as he worked. You suspect danger, she said, more as a statement than a question. Elias turned his chair toward her. We can't confirm it yet, Princess, but yes, something feels wrong. She walked closer, her steps light against the floor. It is the Council's spies. I know how they work. They hide in shadows, never striking openly unless they believe victory is certain. Elias studied her carefully. Then why demand to travel with us? Surely your own people could protect you better. Celira smiled faintly. Because my own people are divided. Some want me safe, others. Would rather I vanished quietly. Here at least I know the truth. Humans may not be perfect, but you are direct. You do not hide your intentions. Her words struck Elias deeply. He had fought in many battles and seen how humans were often dismissed by greater powers as reckless or crude. Yet here was a royal princess saying she trusted them more than her own kind. 2 days later, Oof arrived. The alarms echoed across the Aurora's sphere. Red lights glowed on every wall and the low hum of the engines grew louder as power shifted to shields. The Council warships had found them. Captain Elias stood firm on the bridge. His eyes stayed locked on the screen where 6 enemy vessels appeared, moving in tight formation. They were larger than the human ship, armed with heavy cannons and advanced armor. Against them, the Aurora's spear looked like a lone bird before a pack of predators. Lieutenant Mara's voice was tense. "They're closing fast, Captain. We have less than 20 minutes before they're in range." The crew worked quickly, hands moving over consoles, voices steady but tight with fear. Everyone knew what was coming. Princess Celira stepped onto the bridge. She did not wear her royal robes now, but a plain coat borrowed from the crew, as if she wished to stand as one of them. Her golden eyes swept the room. "So it begins," she said softly. Elias turned toward her. "Princess, this is not your fight. We'll try to break away, but if we fail, I'll order an escape pod ready for you." Her chin lifted. "No, I remain here. If we run, the Council will claim victory. If we stand even against odds, the galaxy will remember." Her voice, calm but full of fire, carried through the room. The crew, who only moments before had felt dread, now felt something else. Pride. The first missiles came quickly. Long streaks of light cut through the void as the Council ships tested the human defenses. "Brace!" Mara shouted. The Aurora's spear shook violently as explosions rippled against the shields. Sparks leapt from a console and smoke curled into the air. But the shields held. Shields at 70%. A technician reported. Elias clenched his jaw. "Return fire. Aim for their lead ship. Show them we don't break." The human cannons roared, sending blue bursts of plasma toward the nearest enemy. The shot struck hard, forcing the larger ship to tilt. But the Council's armor absorbed most of the damage. Still, it was a sign. Humans would not fall quietly. The Council responded with fury. 2 ships broke formation and circled around, firing in unison. The Aurora's spear twisted and rolled, dodging with sharp maneuvers that larger ships could not match. Mara grinned despite herself. "They have power, but we have speed." Elias nodded. "Exactly. Keep moving. Make them chase us through the rocks." He pointed to the asteroid field that stretched ahead. It was dangerous ground, full of spinning stone and jagged fragments. But humans had trained in such places where survival meant daring moves. "Course locked," the pilot said. The Aurora's spear dove into the asteroid field. Massive rocks drifted past, some as large as cities, others no bigger than a hand. The Council ships hesitated, but then followed, unwilling to let their prey escape. Inside the asteroid belt, the battle became chaos. The human ship darted between rocks, weaving through tight gaps. Enemy fire missed or struck stone, sending fragments spinning into space. One Council ship clipped a small asteroid and spun out, its shields flaring weakly. The crew of the Aurora's spear cheered. "Direct hit from the environment." Mara laughed. "The rocks fight for us." Elias remained focused. "Don't get cocky. Keep them off balance. Target weak spots when they expose themselves." Princess Celira stood beside him, holding on to the rail for balance. "This is what they never understand," she whispered. Humans turned danger into advantage. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The ship shook again and again under enemy fire. Hull plating cracked in 2 places and one engine faltered for a moment before repairs restored power. Still, the humans fought back with precision. Then came their chance. One enemy cruiser tried to block their path, moving too close to a cluster of asteroids. Elias gave a sharp order. "Fire all forward cannons, then cut engines. Let the rocks do the rest." The shot struck the cruiser's shields, weakening them. At the same time, without the human ship's engines pushing forward, the asteroid shifted, colliding with the enemy vessel. A massive explosion tore across space. The cruiser broke apart, fragments scattering like fire across the black. The bridge erupted with cheers. Even Mara pounded her console with joy. "That's one down!" But the victory was short-lived. The remaining ships adjusted quickly, forming a tighter net. They pressed hard, forcing the Aurora's spear into a narrow corridor. "We can't keep dodging forever," Mara warned. They'll pin us down. Elias exhaled slowly. He looked around the bridge at his weary but determined crew, then at the princess who had refused to abandon them. We'll fight with everything we have, he said firmly. If they want us, they'll bleed for it. Salira stepped forward. Then allow me to help. The crew turned, surprised. She held a small crystal device in her hands. This is forbidden among my people, but I kept it for times of great need. It can release a wave of energy strong enough to blind enemy sensors for a short time. Mara's eyes widened. That could give us the opening we need. Elias studied her. It's dangerous? Yes, Salira admitted. It will burn out the device, and it may shake your systems as well. But it could save us, Elias nodded once. Do it, the princess activated the crystal. A pulse of golden light rippled through space, invisible to the eye but devastating to sensors. On the enemy ships, alarms flared as systems went blind. Weapons lost their locks. Formations broke apart in confusion. Now, Elias shouted. The Aurora's spear surged forward, its cannons blazing. They struck one disoriented ship squarely, tearing through weakened shields. Another burst of fire crippled its engines, leaving it drifting helplessly. The humans pressed the advantage, darting between ships while their foes struggled to regain control. For the first time in the battle, the enemy fleet looked clumsy. But the council ships were not without discipline. Slowly they recovered, realigning, forcing the human ship back into open space. The crystal's effect had ended, and once more the Aurora's spear stood against superior numbers. The bridge was silent, every breath heavy. The crew knew they had fought well, but their strength was fading. Then Salira spoke again, her voice strong. Even if we fall, today the galaxy has seen what humans can do. They will speak of this battle. They will remember. Her words carried across the bridge like a spark in the dark. The crew straightened, shoulders squared, ready to fight to the last. Elias tightened his grip on the rail. Then let's make sure this fight counts. The council fleet loomed larger on the screen, preparing for the final strike. The storm of fire was about to fall, and the Aurora's spear, battered but unbroken, stood ready. The bridge of the Aurora's spear trembled as the enemy fleet drew closer. 6 council ships had begun the battle, but now only 4 remained, damaged yet still powerful. Against them, the human vessel was battered, shields flickering, hull scorched in several places. The crew could feel the weight of every second pressing down. Captain Elias stood tall at the center of the bridge, his uniform torn at one sleeve, his face marked with smoke. His voice remained steady, though inside he carried the fear of losing everyone under his command. Report, he said. Lieutenant Mara's hands moved over the console. Shields at 30%, weapons down to 30% as well. Engines holding, but not for long. The crew exchanged grim looks. They had fought bravely, but the numbers were against them. Princess Salira, standing beside the captain, placed her hand on the railing. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the light of the consoles. She did not look afraid. Instead, she looked proud. They believe they will crush us, she said softly, but they do not know what it means to face humans when they have nothing left to lose. Elias turned his head toward her. Princess, if we fall here, she interrupted him with calm certainty. Then the galaxy will still see what happened. I chose to stand with you, and you showed them courage. The enemy fleet began its final approach. The 4 massive ships spread into a wide line, weapons ready, their presence filling the void like an unbreakable wall. They're forming a kill net, Mara said grimly. We won't be able to dodge this one. Elias exhaled slowly. His eyes narrowed. Then we don't dodge. We strike. The crew looked at him in shock. The Aurora's spear was smaller, weaker. To attack meant certain risk. But Elias had no other choice. He gave the order. Plot a course straight through their line. Aim for the flagship. If we take it out, the rest may break. The crew obeyed without hesitation. Their fear turned to steel. If this was the end, they would make it count. The Aurora's spear roared forward, engines blazing. Alarm screamed as enemy fire rained down. The ship shook under the storm. Panels burst and sparks lit the bridge. Still, they pressed on. The enemy flagship loomed ahead, its weapons glowing as it prepared a final devastating volley. Direct hit incoming, Mara shouted. At that moment, Princess Salira stepped forward. She held another crystal, smaller than the one she had used before. She raised it high and light pulsed from her hands. This will not stop them, she said. But it will shield us for one heartbeat. The crystal burst, forming a golden veil around the Aurora's spear. The incoming blast struck it, but for that single moment, the shield held. Now, Elias bellowed. The human ship fired everything it had left. Plasma cannons, missiles, railguns, every weapon roared in unison. The shots slammed into the enemy flagship, tearing across its hull. Explosions ripped through its core, and the mighty vessel split apart in a storm of fire. The void lit up like a second sun. The destruction of the flagship sent shockwaves through the Council fleet. The Remai,